Eddy Gordo, described to be a generally cool-headed and laid-back dude. He also seems to be very loyal, going out of his way to repay the kindness offered to him by his Capoeira master. So Eddy was born into one of the richest families in Brazil. Ever since he was a small boy, he knew he would one day take over the family business. He was well liked in his home because he was a hard worker who treated others as his equal. This kind of sounds familiar to Miguel's storyline as well. They kind of have the same description, if you ask me. I like where this is going. So one day when he was 19, Eddy came home from school to find his father shot and dying. He recalled that his father had been unusually nervous and fearful in recent weeks. Eddy's father was working to destroy the drug cartel in Brazil at the time. His ultimate death occurred just when he had obtained enough evidence to put the kingpins away for good. In his last breath, Eddy's father told him now is the right time to fight. Firstly, admit to the crime and hide in prison. Only there will you be safe. Eddy went along with his father's last wish, and the model student went from a life of luxury to incarceration as a murderer. Now, this is very sad if you ask me, right? Imagine going back to your house and finding your dad on a deathbed, bro. Like he's just about to die, and he tells you, take the blame. Take the blame, and that's the only way you'll be safe from, whoever's trying to get him, I guess. So, like, in this case, I don't know, bro. Like, it just accepted it and ended up going to jail, but it's a difficult one. Like, would you do the same thing if you're in his shoes? I don't know, bro. I don't know. So prison life was hell, and not a day went by that Eddy didn't vow to get even with the father's killers. One day during a prison riot, he watched an old man with great power fight using the technique called Capoeira. For 8 years, Eddy practiced until he became a master and could be considered a lethal weapon. So wait, he spent 8 years in prison? That's kind of mad, bro. For a crime he did not commit, or because his dad told him that he would be safe if he sacrificed his life just to stay in prison. That's kind of deep. I respect Eddy for that. Damn, I'm kind of loving Eddy, man. Should I play Eddy? That's sounds like a pretty cool dude. So upon his release from prison, Eddy heard about the King of Iron Fist Tournament 3 in the Mishima Zaibatsu. He decided to enter the tournament believing he could persuade the MFE to help him seek his long-awaited revenge. Now, I'm not really familiar with what the MFE mean, but I guess it's some kind of detective agency, or like something to do with detection work, like CIA. So I believe it's like the equivalent of that, MFE. So he's at this point, we do know that he's bent on revenge, bro. He's trying to find out who killed his father, who was in charge of causing all this grief, him ending in prison, spending 8 years there for a crime he did not commit, which is kind of mad. So if I was Eddy, bro, I would do the same thing, bro. If I was in his shoes, that's the first thing I would do if I got out of prison, bro. Like, find my dad's killers, because damn, that's just fucked up. Alright, so this all happens during the event of during the period of Tekken 3, the King of Iron Fist Tournament 3. So if you guys don't know, Eddy was introduced in Tekken 3, and so this is a description we're given. Enter the King of Iron Fist Tournament 4. Eddy was not really a playable character in Tekken 4. He was replaced by Christie here. Christie was introduced in Tekken 4. So Christie is described as Eddy's student, who's also the granddaughter of the Capoeira master. So this is the kind of the relationship they have between Eddy, Christie, and the master, if you guys have ever wondered. So Christie is the daughter of Eddy's master, and Eddy's student apparently. So in Tekken 4, we're basically told that Christie is looking for Eddy. So Eddy disappeared after the events of Tekken 3. So we don't really know why, but it is implied that he disappeared and was looking for his father's killers. In the Tekken 4, also told that apparently the person responsible for the death of Eddy's master, sorry, Eddy's dad was Kazuya Mishima. Like, surprisingly, it's a Mishima again, bro. The goddamn Mishimas, bro. Why are these guys everywhere, man? It's so messed up. So, but that's basically the description of Tekken 4. Again, Eddy was not in Tekken 4. Christie was the one who was here. So in Tekken 3, Eddy goes to jail, right? Spends 8 years there, trains Capoeira, meets the master, and now is released and is on the hunt for his father's killers. In Tekken 4, we are told that the person responsible for the death of his father was none other than Kazuya Mishima. Masculine. So now enter the King of Tournament 5. So Eddy's master was about to be freed from prison after a long incarceration. So Eddy was released before his master. Eddy went to the prison to meet his master, but instead found a frail old man that was only a shadow of the strong capoeira master he once knew. Upon taking his master to a hospital, Eddy was told his master had an incurable illness and had less than 6 months to live. However, it may be possible to discover a cure if they had access to the technological resources of the Mishima Zaibatsu. Now, this is one of my favorite plot twists, or like this twist in the tale of Eddy's complete storyline in the Tekken franchise, right? Because like here, Eddy goes from seeking revenge, looking for the killers that murdered his dad, to like full on looking for a cure to the capoeira master. And this is someone he met in prison. Quite alright, he spent 8 years there, they trained together, formed a bond, a relationship and all. But I just like the fact that he is not consumed with this, grief or revenge over the death of his dad. And I like the fact that when it comes to saving a life, he put that first. I really like the plot twist in Eddy's story, and I believe this is one of the reasons why a lot of people like Eddy. Like Eddy's storyline is really it's really deep. It has a lot of substance. So that is basically a story of Tekken 5. We discover that his master has an illness, and Eddy now seeks the cure. So now it is told that the cure can only be found, or they needed access to more resources, which were held by the Mishima Zaibatsu, surprisingly. So this is basically the Tekken 5 storyline in a nutshell. Like I said, it goes from full-on revenge to like full-on care, wanting to find a cure for his master, and it's kind of sad, man. Imagine forming a bond with someone for 8 years just to discover that they are not going to live more than 6 months, like they only have 6 months left to live. It's kind of sad. So now enter Tekken 6. At the conclusion of the King of Armies Tournament 5, Eddy spoke alone with Jin Kazama. Jin offered to lend him his money and resources to save his master's life if Eddy joined the Tekken Force. So if Eddy joined the Tekken Force, Jin promised to find a cure for Eddy's master's illness. So now Eddy joins the Tekken Force and he is involved with a number of military operations just as the King of Iron Fist Tournament 6 approaches. Alright, so now let's go back to Tekken 6. If you guys remember Tekken 6, Jin declares a war against Kazuya, the Mishima Zaibatsu. We all know the storyline with Azazel. If you haven't seen my Zafina story breakdown, I do touch on this a bit. But basically, Jin starts a war in order to cure the Devil Jin, right? To resurrect Azazel and cure the Devil Jin. So now Jin decides to recruit Eddy into the Tekken Force and promises him, to find a cure for his master's illness if he joins the Tekken Force. So this is what Eddy does and joins the Tekken Force and takes part in the war against the Mishima Zaibatsu. So now, so the Jacob, not the Mishima Zaibatsu. So now in the ended description, we see Christie crying at a grave, and like Eddie shows up, actually like slaps him, probably because he hasn't been around, because this man has been traveling all over the globe trying to find a cure for the master. So like, just the fact that he even shows up for the funeral is huge. So now from this ending description, we can see that Eddie is pissed, like he clenches his fist and throws the pin to the ground, right? The breaks it. Like this is the Mishima Zaibatsu symbol on the pin. So he's like pissed and everything. I think we can tell that it's all in vain, right? Him doing all this, joining a war, taking part in a war, probably like has blood on his hands, just discovered that the master passed away after all that. So it was all for nothing. It's basically what this ending description entails. So now this is where the plot twists again, right? Because now that the master is dead, everything that Eddie set out for was in vain. Like everything he did was just for nothing, which is really, really sad. So this is Eddie's Tekken 6 storyline completely explained. Enter the King of Iron Fist Tournament 7, and first of all, like this is one of the saddest story twists in my opinion. I was not expecting this. Anyway, so enter the King of Iron Fist Tournament 7. Eddy Gordo went to the G Corporation to exact revenge on Kazuya Mishima for murdering his father. After he taken out a crowd of guards, a young girl in a strange outfit stood before him and struck a pose. "You're not getting past me, old man." Teehee, she says. What did she mean by old man? Confused and irritated by her appearance and disrespectful tone, but aware of the threat she posed, Eddie prepared to fight. And this is the end of Eddie's Tekken 7 storyline. Just like that. Yeah, I know, it's bad. So anyway, from the ending description, we can see him asking about Kazuya, right? So basically Eddie is just looking for Kazuya. So after, from what this ending description entails, it seems that after the master passed away, Eddie just goes back to the root of seeking revenge on Kazuya for killing his dad. So this makes a lot of sense actually. You know, since the whole arc with the master is done, he goes back to, you know, revenge on Kazuya. But I don't know, they could have done something different, like maybe a healing route. Like maybe he's over everything, he's trying to heal. You know, Capoeira is known to be like a peaceful martial art. So I would have loved it if they went that route. But you know, everyone in Tekken is always looking for Kazuya, always looking for Heihachi. They are all involved with the Mishimas, so I would have wanted something a little bit different coming from Eddie's storyline. But don't get me wrong, it's still good. So again, this is the end of Eddie's Tekken 7 storyline. So just like I say in all my videos, like Tekken storylines just went from bad to worse for most of the characters. Eddie was very good, don't get me wrong, but being involved with Lucky Chloe, bro, like why? Doesn't make sense. It's so bad, bro. Why involve him with Lucky Chloe like at all? After having such a huge, substantial storyline, like Bamco, bro, what? Please, I do hope they focus more on storylines, serious storylines Tekken 8, and not this Lucky Chloe shenanigans. This bullshit, bro. So anyway, my boys, that's the end of Eddie's complete Tekken storyline explained. If you enjoyed my video, please don't forget to like, subscribe. I'm doing story breakdowns for all the characters in the game, so please subscribe and keep in touch. If you enjoyed my video, please check out my other stories explained, including Asuka and Lily. GG, my boys.
Don't forget to subscribe.